Welcome to Show Me Something Wrong. That's good, roll with that.
Where each episode, one of us chooses a movie to watch that the other hasn't seen. The movie is often obscure, usually odd, and always wrong. I'm Dave.
And I'm Guy.
And today I've chosen the movie, and it is The Oily Maniac from 1976.
Insert Oily Maniac scream here.
Oh boy, here we go. Oily Maniac.
Oh, God.
Oh wow. So yes, The Oily Maniac, 1976. Should I attempt to pronounce the title in Chinese?
Oh, yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yu Gui Zhu.
It's pretty good.
I've had to look up a lot of pronunciations.
Oh, so we're actually doing that now.
Well, I'm looking it up because I feel bad that we fuck up pronunciations all the time, and I'm still going to fuck them up because it's a very fucking hard language. And I was also like, do I look up the Mandarin? Do I look up the Cantonese? I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm saying, mate. I don't even know what it is that I'm spouting when I'm saying these names, but I tried to look up some pronunciations, so hopefully they're not as butchered as usual.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, you're making the effort, and that's what counts.
A for effort. A for effort. Good on you, mate.
But this is, not relevant to Oily Maniac whatsoever, but I heard that...
Instantly on a tangent.
Well, whilst we're talking about pronunciations and, like, intonations and whatnot, I can't remember which one, I think it was Cantonese, there's, like, 9 different pronunciations. So you could have, like, the same vowel or whatever,
right,
but it can be pronounced in, like, 9 different ways, and each one has a different meaning.
Yeah.
And, like, what I hear is if you mispronounce it, then the context gets completely thrown out the window. Yeah, you have no fucking idea what you're saying. So you may have just said, like...
Who fucking knows, mate?
Bright Pink Baby. Who knows?
Who knows? I could have said Bright Pink Baby, not The Oily Maniac. We'll just call it The Oily Maniac. I'm not going to say that Chinese title again. So this film is from 1976, as I said, but let's not start with 1976's version of The Oily Maniac.
Ah, okay.
And let's go back in time to the 1950s.
Okay.
So I thought this was going to be an easy one to research, mate. That's why I chose it. Because let's give a bit of behind the scenes. We're recording quite a few episodes before you go away on holiday.
Yeah, I'm counting down the days.
So I'm like, Oily Maniac, 80 minutes, perfect. Just do a quick bit of research on Shaw Brothers. That'll be it. No, I got led down a fucking oily rabbit hole, mate.
An oily rabbit hole.
So yeah, very quickly upon, researching this, I found out basically straight away that it's actually a loose remake.
Interesting.
Very, very loose remake.
Okay.
Of a film called, get ready for some more fucked pronunciation, this time not Chinese, but Malay. So it's a remake of a film called Sampahan Orang Minyak.
That sounded pretty convincing.
I got some help with that pronunciation, but I'll tell you about that later.
Oh, God.
So this title that I just said, so that translates to Oath of the Oil Man. But the film is also known as Curse of the Oil Man. This is a film from 1958, I think.
Okay.
Or 1956. And I honestly couldn't work it out.
Right.
I found so many listings with different times. I found 2 versions of the film, one that was in black and white, one that was in color. So maybe it had different releases. There's also a shit ton of other films with very similar titles. When I say shit ton, there's not a shit ton. There's like 2 or 3. There's like a few other films that came out almost around the same time, same kind of years, with very similar titles. So they could also be getting mixed up in it as well. But the year 1956 to me seems too early, but I'll get to why later.
Right.
Just stuff
you really shot yourself in the foot with this one.
So anyway, this film that the film we're talking about is a remake of is a Malaysian Singaporean co-production.
Right.
So this 1958 version, the Oath of the Oil Man film, Malaysian Singaporean co-production, directed by and starring a guy called P. Ramlee. Now this guy's a very fucking famous dude.
Okay.
So he is a director, actor, musician, Yeah, he's a triple
That's a lot.
Yeah. And it's hugely popular in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and southern Thailand. So in that kind of area of the world, he's really, really famous. So he directed this film and he stars in it in the lead role as the oil man. Or the oily maniac.
Not the maniac, the man.
Well, they do say maniac in the film, but the title says oil man. But most surprisingly, so I watched this film. So watching the credits, I was very fucking surprised to see in this 1958 Malaysian Singaporean co-production that it was produced by the fucking Shaw brothers.
No way.
Run Shaw's name in the credits.
Huh.
So I'm like, wait, what the fuck is going on here? And maybe this is common knowledge, but I did not know this. I had no idea that the Shaw brothers, their original base of operations was in Singapore.
I have no idea about that.
Way back in the 20s. Yeah, so that's where they started in Singapore. And then they expanded out through the surrounding areas over the decades. Isn't that crazy? I didn't know that.
No, that's wild. Yeah, I had no idea about that.
So that was kind of mind-boggling. But anyway, more on the Shaw brothers later as well. But I watched this original film, really enjoyed it. Just to give a brief overview, it's about a deformed man called Bangkok, who's played by the director, Ramlee. And long story short, he's a deformed man. He goes to an alternate world. He goes...
So, you
What's wrong?
You caught me off guard with Bangkok.
Bangkok, yeah. Bangkok, the deformed man. He really wants to be a hunk. He's a deformed man. He wants to be a hunk.
Okay.
And winds up, I can't even honestly remember how this happened, but he ends up somehow going to this alternate world.
Okay.
Where there's this elf god who grants him a wish.
Right.
And his wish is to be a hunk. So the elf god makes him a handsome man. But then he's like, you have to promise me that you're not going to kill anyone.
How's that even related?
I know. I mean, it seems quite easy to not break that promise.
I'm doing well.
Yeah, anyway, so Bangkok, he's a handsome man now. He goes back to the real world and, of course, pretty quickly breaks the promise through a series of mishaps, ends up killing a guy, gets turned hideous again. So you might be wondering, where's the fucking oily maniac in this? So he's hideous again, he's pissed off, and then he comes across Satan.
Oh man, this sounds way more interesting than the film we're talking about.
It's pretty great, actually, yeah. So he meets this campy Satan, and Satan's like, I'll turn you back to being a hunk again, no problem. But here's the deal. First, you're going to have to become an oily maniac, and you're going to need to rape 21 women in 7 days.
Dude,
Not a good deal.
This film sounds wild.
This oily maniac stuff, though, is only in the last 10 minutes.
Right.
So it goes wild in the last 10 minutes, but yeah.
But even so, we got elf gods, parallel worlds, campy satans. I kind of feel like we watched the wrong oily maniac after hearing your description.
I don't think we did. This film was great, but it is very much a film from 1958.
Right.
It's not as wild as it sounds, and the oily maniac look is he's basically just a man painted in tar.
Oh man, I'm so down to watch that.
It is good. It's on YouTube with subtitles. If you want to see it.
Awesome.
So anyway, watching this film and looking at other films with similar titles, I noticed in the 50s, there's all these other Orang Minyak movies, like Oil Man movies. And even more recently, there's been a bunch of them as well. So this is there's a lot of these films.
Right.
So I was like, what the fuck's going on with this Oil Man stuff? So I ended up reaching out to our friend,
oh my God.
JY.
Oh, JY! Oh man,
So I didn't tell you about this. So JY, who did the music for your film, also known as Microchip Terror, he's from Singapore. So I was like, I wanted to get his take on this. I'm like, mate, do you know anything about the oily maniac? What's going on with this? And he actually helped me a lot in prepping for this episode. So he told me that the oily maniac, or the oil man, is a Malay legend that is very well known in Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. And it was something that he and his friends would joke about when they were teenagers. They'd joke about the oil man.
Awesome.
And just as a side note, we were talking about other like Malay legends, and he told me about this other Malay ghost legend called Hantu Tetek, who is a ghost who suffocates her victims with her boobs, which sounds amazing.
That's how I want to go.
I want to see the movie about that. So from hearing this stuff from JY, I started digging into the Oil Man stuff. He sent me a bunch of links about the Oil Man.
Good old JY.
So the legend of the Oil Man is first mentioned, like the first time you can find a mention of it in the newspapers is in a Singaporean newspaper from the 12th of October, 1957.
Right.
So that's why I think that movie is from 1958 and not 56.
Right.
Because this is like the first mention of it in but it's maybe a legend before that, so I don't know. But anyway, that was my theory.
Yeah, I'm glad you told me that, because that was one of my first questions I had. Because the way the Oily Maniac opens up, you get a kind of like text on screen which references some kind of folktale, folklore, like an old legend that this is based off.
That's right, yeah. The version that we saw changes it quite a lot, though. But even as with all like folk legends, it is a bit convoluted, and there's a lot of different versions. But according to the original legend, the Oil Man is a monster who kidnaps or assaults young women at night.
Right.
That's his thing. He's able to climb up walls and grab victims, and he's able to avoid getting caught because of his slippery, oily coating. Which they do mention in the film,
which I found quite funny.
Yeah, I found that very funny. So in the original stories, the oil coating was originally like hair oil. But over time, it's like changed to different things. So at one point, it was like coconut oil and soot. And then it's like become crude oil, which is what we see in the movie we're talking about today. So he's been described, the Oil Man, as either naked, just covered in oil, or in black swimming trunks.
He wears trunks?
Yeah, which I found very funny. And yeah, over time they've started adding like details to it. He's always targeted women, but then this extra detail that gets added is that the Oil Man or Orang Minyak targets virgins. So in the 50s, or from the 50s onward, people started kind of freaking out quite genuinely about the Oil Man, as if it was a real thing. And in Malaysia, women, like young female students who I guess were virgins, would attempt to ward off the Oil Man by wearing sweaty clothes. So it would try to give the appearance that they'd just been with a man.
What the fuck? That's wild.
Pretty nice. Then in other versions of the legend, they talk about the Oil Man being an evil human warlock rather than a monster, which is kind of more like that old film version that I watched. Then the other one, which again is much more like that original film version, is that he's a regular person who's been cursed in an attempt to like win back love with magic, which is what that original film is.
Right.
So even in recent times, Malaysian newspapers still occasionally report sightings of the Oil Man.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
One of the best things that JY sent me, he sent me this really shitty TV docudrama. Right. It was called Incredible Tales.
Oh, it sounds
from
good.
Season 3, episode 12, if you want to watch it. It's on YouTube. Absolute fucking slop. You know that kind of like early 2000s like trash fake documentary garbage.
I love that shit.
Oh, me too.
I love it.
Oh, you would love this one. After this, you got to watch it.
I love all those like ghost hunter things they go into.
That's what this is. So this one is basically doing a reenactment of these teens who supposedly got attacked by the Oily Maniac. So it's following this woman called Arti, who's on holiday in Indonesia. She's from Jakarta, but she's in like a small town in Indonesia.
Right.
And during her getaway, her and all her friends end up getting assaulted by the Oily Maniac. And some of her friends that get attacked by him become like unconscious and they like can't move. They're kind of cursed.
Yeah.
And they have to get a shaman to break the curse before daylight. And yeah, they basically give the same story that's in that original film. Where it's like, yeah, he was a guy, he made a deal with the devil, he needed to rape 21 virgins in 7 days. And in 7 days he completed his mission, so he went back to being human. But then whenever the devil feels like he wants to go rape someone, he can basically possess this man and turn him into the oily maniac again to go out and do some horrible assaults. So that, I mean, it's pretty close to the plot of that 50s film. But the show also, I really love it because at the end it tries to sort of suggest like, oh, maybe it wasn't supernatural. Maybe it was just this guy who's a fucking rapist creep.
Wearing the black trunks.
But, mate, I highly recommend checking it out.
I will definitely watch that.
Honestly, it's pretty disturbing for a shitty TV show. When I was watching it, I was prepping this in a cafe in Osaka, in Pronto Cafe.
Right.
And I was just sitting there kind of uncomfortably watching this on my laptop as this man's, like, covered in oil going around assaulting people. I'm like, I probably shouldn't be watching this in here. Yeah, but...
That's great.
But, yeah. Fascinating backstory to this.
I'm
that
glad.
I did not know existed until this episode.
It's a pretty fascinating backstory, and hearing all the little different bits of information, you can kind of piece them within the movie we were talking about today.
For sure, yeah. So let's get onto that 1976 version that we are talking about today.
Yes.
So this is directed by... Here we go, ready for some name butchering. So this is directed by Ho Mong Kwa.
All right.
This guy, great director. He made one of my absolute favorite Shaw Brothers films, The Mighty Peking Man. Have you seen that?
No.
This is
The
absolutely...
Mighty Peking Man.
Oh, mate, it is great. It's this absolutely ridiculous King Kong ripoff. Banger. He also made the Shaw Brothers film The Flying Guillotine from 1975, not to be confused with the much better known unofficial non-Shaw Brothers sequel Master of the Flying Guillotine from the year after.
Right.
So that kind of version is better known. But he made the Flying Guillotine from 75. He also made Black Magic 1 and 2. I don't know if you've seen those ones, like classic Shaw Brothers horror. And then just like a shit ton of Shaw Brothers martial arts stuff. So he's quite a prolific director. His version of The Oily Maniac, so this kind of loose remake, it removes the kind of oily, rapey aspect to it. So The Oily Maniac's not a rapist, and he's kind of more of an anti-hero in this version of it. And the other thing that he does to The Oily Maniac story is he makes it feel much more like a Shaw Brothers film than that old 50s version does. This really fucking feels like a Shaw Brothers film from start to finish. That's great for me because I fucking love the Shaw Brothers. I wanted to ask you, what's your relationship with the Shaw Brothers? So what films of theirs do you like?
It doesn't go all the way back to the 20s, I'll tell you that. I shamefully have not seen some of their biggest and most beloved movies. You had a face of utter shock, I think, when I told you I hadn't seen what was the
we should keep that secret.
Oh, one of them. Because
I deliberately didn't mention that.
Right, okay. I've not seen some of their bigger pictures, but the first Shaw Brothers film I watched, and probably because it was the first film of theirs I watched, and the one that I kind of hold dearest is the Human Lanterns.
That's great.
Loved that film. First time I saw that, I think I was 17 or something, and my friend bought it for me for DVD back from Hong Kong. It was just so bizarre. It was just so ridiculous, like that kung fu and horror mishmash. And it wasn't like anything I'd ever seen before, and I still go to that film if I'm feeling a little bit.
I do.
Want a little bit of cheese in my,
For sure.
in my films.
I love their like horror, like kung fu mashups. It's so good. And that is one of the best examples.
I don't think maybe I have. I need to go through their filmography or their studio filmography. But I can't, in my head now, place one of their like straight up horror films that I've seen. But all the stuff that I have seen, it always seems to be like a big fucking mishmash.
Sure. I think a lot of the ones on my list of favorites are actually not horror ones. They're more of their traditional martial arts ones. So one of their absolute best films that you gotta watch if you haven't seen it, is Dirty Ho from 1979.
Dirty Ho.
That's just an amazing
Awesome.
piece of like martial arts, just incredible. 36 Chamber of Shaolin from 78, absolute classic. Crippled Avengers. I love their movies
Avengers.
that are about like crippled martial artists. It's just so great. And one of my favorites that I think is like really fucking underrated is Hong Kong Godfather. It's one of their like mid 80s ones.
You know what, that title gets brought up so often. I can't remember if I've seen it or I've just heard the title so many times that in my head I feel like I've seen it.
There is a scene in that, and I don't want to ruin it for you if you haven't seen it.
If I have, it would have been fucking decades ago. So, yeah.
There is something that happens in that's one of the most fucked things I think I've ever seen in a film.
Good stuff.
Involving a kid.
Oh, that was bad stuff. Sorry, I spoke too soon on that one. Great.
And yeah, my all-time favorite Shaw Brothers, I don't want to mention on pod because I do want to do it far off into it's been on my list since the beginning because I know that you haven't seen it. I really want to talk about that. Well, should we get into The Oily Maniac?
Oily Maniac, let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Let's get involved.
So, as you said, it does start with, those references to Malaysia, right? So in the beginning, it's got that title screen that's saying it's a rewrite of a Nanyang tale. And I was like, what's Nanyang? So that's a Chinese term that refers to East Asia.
Okay.
It's like Singapore, Malaysia, stuff like that. I'd never heard that term.
No,
before,
me neither.
Yeah, it claims that the movie, which I don't know if I agree with this, it claims that the movie bears the moral that justice does prevail. But, I don't know. We'll see.
A bit of a stretch, that one.
It also claims that the film is extensively shot in Malaysia, which I don't know how true that is. I mean, there's some shots that are in Malaysia, but it looks like just a few exteriors. I don't know if I'd say extensively shot. But the first scene definitely seems...
Shot in Malaysia.
Yeah, shot in Malaysia. So we're seeing all of these guys and monkeys climbing up coconut trees, grabbing coconuts.
I was pretty impressed. I was like, wait, you can train a monkey? I mean, they know how to climb the trees anyway. But you can train them to go up and fetch you coconuts? That's incredible.
Just the fact that it's like both dudes and monkeys just like going up these trees.
I wonder, is their pay the same?
I don't think so, mate. Just throw those monkeys a few bananas. That's all they need.
Or coconuts.
Oh, yeah. So the coconuts are all getting taken to a factory. And then we meet, oh boy, the big star of the movie, our man, Danny Lee.
Yay.
Walking down the street with a lovely lady who we'll get to in a moment. But first, who's Danny Lee? Guy?
Wow. I mean, I think everyone would primarily know Danny Lee from being the big chief cop in The Untold Story. He always plays a kind of figure of authority, which is what I found really interesting about this film.
That's true.
He plays a weak, like self-loathing cripple. In his words, not mine. But this is the only time I've seen him in this very like weak kind of submissive role.
Sure.
But yeah, he always plays the chief cop or like a big kind of strong guy.
That's kind of interesting that you say that because for me, when I think of Danny Lee, I do think of Untold Story and those kind of roles, but to me, that's like stage 3 of Danny Lee. So stage 1 is like this stuff, like Shaw Brothers. Stage 2 is Chow Yun-Fat's little mate in all of Chow Yun-Fat's movies because they're always like a duo. Right. So for me, I know him mostly as like Chow Yun-Fat's buddy. Right. And then I think of his, not late in his career, but middle point of his career is that kind of Cat 3 era of playing those cops and stuff.
Going off that, so I was going to ask you, because he does look very young in this, and I wasn't sure if it's just because of his like young looking haircut. He's got a very young man's haircut in this, but he is kind of very like sharp. He's he's skinny in the face. He's not the kind of like the kind of like chubby chief that we grow to know and love. So, but I didn't look at the years, so I was going to ask, this is relatively early on in his career, or as you put it, phase 1?
Yeah, this is part of, stage 1, phase 1. I like phase 1 better. Yeah, this is phase 1, Danny Lee. So yeah, this is early in his career.
Right.
And I guess this would have been the time, I've not looked at this, I haven't researched this, but this would probably be the time that John Woo was working for Shaw Brothers as well. So perhaps this is how they met, and he ended up being in John Woo's stuff. But yeah, this is definitely young Danny Lee. It's not 90s sleazeball Danny Lee.
That's for sure. 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah, 76. Yeah,
wild.
So Danny Lee is playing a character called Ah Young. So we'll just call him Young.
Okay.
Which is going to get confusing because there's a lot of Youngs and Yangs and all sorts of things in this. But yeah, so he's all sorts of things, all sorts of names like that. So he's young, as you said, he's a self-loathing, crippled man. And the lady that he's with is Little You.
Little You.
Little You, played by Chen Ping.
Right.
Now, I'm going to sound very repetitive through this episode, because basically every actor that I'm going to talk about in this essentially has the same filmography. So I'm going to stop at a certain point. Okay. Just give you some details. But Chen Ping, so she's a Taiwanese actress, and she's in a fuck ton of Shaw Brothers movies, including Black Magic, directed by the same guy who did this, and The Mighty Peking Man, that great film. And yes, you're going to hear me say...
I need to watch that. That just sounds ridiculous.
But you're going to hear me say that a lot throughout this. Like, this person's a lot of Shaw Brothers stuff, because they were like a factory, essentially, and they used the same actors over and over and over. Anyway, so they're walking along together. Young is bitching and moaning about his job.
I think we should probably mention that he walks with crutches.
Oh, yes. Very important. So he's got some crutches. He's walking along very slowly.
Drags his legs.
Oh, man. There is some, like, stuff involving his handicap in this that is just so funny. I can't wait to get to it. Not that I'm saying being handicapped is funny, but the way that this film...
I love the predicaments they put him in.
It's so trashy. And Shaw Brothers loves a crippled hero. They just love it. They love it.
It's the underdog. We have to root for the underdog, right?
So yeah, Young is complaining about his job. He works at a law firm. And we don't know the details yet, but he clearly doesn't like the workplace. So Young and Little You are heading towards the coconut plant because the lawyer that he works for, Mr. Hu, has told him he needs to bring these land ownership papers that someone called Mr. Chen needs to sign.
Right.
We'll find out about these cunts later. So Little You is shocked by this. She's like, wait, what? What is going on? And Young's like, well, the lease is over, and they're going to take back the property, and the property is going to belong to the Yang family.
Oh, I can't.
So these are all our players getting set up, but we haven't fucking met them yet. Don't worry. We'll work it out as we go. So then Little Yu's dad shows up.
Yeah.
And this is one of the biggest actors in this. So
his name is Abba.
Say again.
Abba.
Abba, yeah. So he's played by Ku Feng, and he is a massive star. Right. So he's in some big movies. He's in Peking Opera Blues.
Not seen that.
Oh, fuck, that's an amazing movie. He's in The Five Venoms, fucking great Shaw Brothers, Come Drink With Me, One-Armed Swordsman, and The Mighty Peking.
I need to watch this.
And so this dad runs over, and he's like, Mr. Who's waiting for you. We gotta go to the office. Then we're in the office, and here's where we meet all our sort of key players.
Sure.
So let me just run you through who we've got in here. So we've got Who.
Which one's who?
Mr. Who. So
he's the bad guy.
So he's the lawyer. Like, don't say he's the lawyer. Spoiler alert.
He's the lawyer.
He's the lawyer. We don't know he's a bad guy yet. So we got Mr. Who. He's the lawyer that Young works for.
Yeah. And Young being Danny Lee.
Young being Danny Lee.
Right.
Yeah, crippled guy, Danny Lee. And then we've got Mr. Chen, who's currently in charge of the coconut factory.
Is he the one who looks like a Beatles?
He's a hunk.
He looks a bit like Beatlesy.
Does he? I don't. Maybe. Yeah.
He's got like
a little
big
bit.
hair and flares.
Yeah, he's like young, hip kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then we've got big old creep Yang.
We don't like him.
He's kind of like a gangster sort of type who's taking over this plant. So there are kind of key people in the film other than Young and Little You. I'm going to do a quick run through of these guys who are in this. So we got who's played by Wang Shei.
Right.
Another Taiwanese actor, another Shaw Brothers veteran. Just to give you a couple of amazing things he's in Inframan, which is fucking great. Right. It's like this Ultraman ripoff starring Danny Lee.
Oh,
fucking
awesome.
Great film. And he's in one of the most underrated cat threes of all time, this film called Revanchist from 1994. If you haven't seen that, definitely watch that.
Put it on the list.
Great. And Chen, the guy that you think looks like a Beatles guy.
Yep.
So the young hunk guy, he's played by Hua Lun. Guess what? He's in a fuckload of Shaw Brothers films. And then we've got Yang, the creepy guy. He's played by Chiang Yang.
Oh,
His actual name is Yang. And guess what? He's in a lot of fucking Shaw Brothers movies. And they're our main guys.
Very incestuous over at Shaw Brothers Studios, isn't
so many
it?
Shaw Brothers people. But anyway, Yang is like trying to force Cheng to sign this paperwork. And Chen's like saying that like, oh, my dad signed it. And then he's died, like, why is it my responsibility? And Yang's pointing out, well, you were supposed to pay this in 5 years and blah, blah, blah.
One of the things that I was quite interested in what one of the guys says, because the guy who's defending the Beatles man, he says to the gangsters, or not the gangsters, the guys who are trying to take off the oil plant, he says, my client has rights, the rights to object.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it fucking doesn't. There's a signed contract. Like, you can't object to a signed contract. That's the whole point of the contract.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand what this argument really was, if there was a contract. Who the lawyer is, like, he's like trying to help Cheng, but it's very, like, it feels fake, right? It's like very haphazard. And throughout this kind of disagreement, a fight breaks out with Yang's buddies, and they're like threatening Cheng. Some swords get taken out.
Yeah, who just carries around swords with them?
I guess they're like gangsters, right? So they're like pulling out swords. Then little Yu and Young come in.
They get in the middle of it, don't they?
Yeah, so they're like, what's going on here? Yang, the bad guy, his cronies, they start instantly molesting little Yu.
Oh, yeah.
They just run over to her in the middle of this dispute, and they're just feeling her up. Who's got time for that at this moment? There's a contract dispute happening.
I thought they were after the coconuts.
Yeah. Instead, they're going for little Yu.
Not little Yu.
And Young tries to help, but
he's just a cripple. He gets thrown to the floor, and he's like, "Well, what do you expect from me? I'm just a useless cripple."
Which is just almost every scene with him is that, where he's like, oh, can I help? No, I can't, because I'm crippled. It's not very pro, if you were handicapped watching this, you'd feel pretty low about yourself after everything.
This is how the world sees us.
Yeah. So, Who the lawyer, he runs out to tell little Yu's dad,
Abba,
about this situation. And Yu's dad,
Abba,
instantly just goes into fucking chaos mode, comes in with a fucking sword, and he's like, I've been working here for fucking 40 years. He only looked about 45.
He was born on the plant, died on the plant.
And while this is happening, it's fucking chaos is breaking out. Cheng's ripping up the contract.
Oh, yeah.
Yang starts beating Cheng up. There's fights going on. And in the chaos, Abba, Yu's dad, kind of accidentally stabs one of the Yang cronies. And he's like, oh, fuck. I've done fucked up. And Abba runs out in fucking terror, but is pretty immediately caught by the cops.
Yeah.
It's very confusing, all that sort of contract stuff.
Yeah, but it was necessary. It tells us what the general film is about in a flash moment of random contracts being torn up. You ask money, we want the field. This man gets stabbed, and people want to rape little Yu.
And we all...
Which is like in the rest of the film. That's all those things that I just mentioned.
Yeah, they're
constant throughout the whole film.
And basically everything we saw in that scene is not what it seems as well, which we're going to find out later as well. So all of that contract stuff ultimately is not quite as clean cut as it seems, even though it wasn't clear cut at all. So anyway, Yu's dad, Abba, he's in prison because he's killed a man.
He's killed a man, and they're like, oh, he's going to be executed in 30 minutes.
Yes,
in 30 minutes.
That's very quick.
We've gone from him stabbing a man, running out the door, to him be like, oh, he'll be executed. That's a very fast turnaround, isn't it?
Had time passed between them?
There's no indication of that whatsoever.
Yeah, they're just like, get him in, execute him, go for it. Done.
It's not like Japan where they sit on bloody death row for 40 years, isn't it? It's like, no, it's 30 minutes.
Unless 20 years had passed in that time and we just didn't know.
He looked the same.
He did. Everyone does look the same. But yeah, he's requested that Danny Lee, shows up to have a chat to him before the execution. He's got to be pretty quick. He's only got 30 minutes. So yeah, Yu's dad is talking about these Yang guys that are stealing the plant, and he's like, they're gonna go after little Yu. They're keen for little Yu.
Keen as a bean.
So you got to protect her. Yeah. But Jung is like, well, look at me. I'm just a cripple. What am I supposed to do here? I'm a cripple. I can't help. So Yu's dad's like, all right, let me show you a little secret. And he opens up his shirt and shows a very dodgy tattoo.
I don't know how you describe this one.
I don't know either.
It looks like a child's hand drawing, like a 5-year-old kid's crayon.
It's not great. No. It's not great. But he's got this dodgy ass tattoo on his back. And he tells Jung that Jung's father was a shaman. And he, for some reason, tattooed this fucking spell on his back. On Yu's dad's back. He's like, get this spell. It's going to help you out. It's going to be great. It's going to be the best spell. So Jung, like, copies it.
He traces it off his back. But Abba tells him the final words. There's a clause to using this spell, isn't there?
Yeah. Also, it's a Malaysian spell as well. So he says, oh yeah, Danny Lee, you can speak. We're just calling him Danny Lee now. Should we just switch to calling him Danny Lee? Let's do that. It's easier than Jung. Partway through. So he tells Danny Lee, he's like, yeah, you learnt Malay as a child, so you're going to be able to say this spell. But if you use this spell, you got to use it with the right intent, or you'll die.
That's it. So you have to use it to help people, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't. You won't just die. He makes a point of saying you'll die in a very, very bad way. And I've watched this film twice now, and I still don't know if he used it in the right way or the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did he use it to help people or to bonk people?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Well, that comes back to that moral at the start. It's like, what? Yeah, I don't know.
This film was... I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but this film is great. Visually, it's so much fun to watch. But when you try to like pick apart the morals of the story, the so-called morals from the start, and the idea that it's based on and the rules that come along with this plot, they're very flimsy, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This film is flimsy.
But delivered with such, like, heaviness.
Yeah.
Like, you'll die in a very, very bad way.
It's a very confident film.
Yeah.
But very haphazard.
Yeah.
Haphazardly confident. Yeah.
When I watched that, I was like, oh, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, that's a warning from the start. And when you get a warning of this size, you know it's going to come back to bite him in the ass.
Totally. But
I think
we'll see.
I think it was just for effect.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm going to die in now 25 minutes.
I better quickly say something.
I might as well do something dramatic before I leave.
So the guards take away Yu's dad. We don't see him get executed. I found, oh man, this stuff about his execution that I find so funny in this. Right. Just the way he's taken off to be killed, and young Danny Lee's just like, oh, well, and he just wanders off, just moping around. Like, oh, damn it!
And they're not even a goodbye as well. Abba just like, he's like, all right, this is me. I'm off. Cheerio.
I'm away. See ya. Off to be executed. Yeah, Danny Lee just goes to his job.
But this is probably what we were talking about before. The way they portray Danny Lee, the cripple.
Yeah.
This establishing shot of this scene. Yes. He's fucking dragging his feet along the side of like a motorway in the middle of nowhere. With these cars just zooming past him. He's like, oh, I'm off to work. And with his fucking crutches hobbling down the road.
Like, what I mean.
And there are no sidewalks.
Yeah. He's like, but there's just something very funny about the like the order in which that's cut as well. It's like his mate's just been executed and cut to this sad shot of him dragging himself along the middle of the road.
It's so fun. And there's no other people walking because everyone else is driving. There's cars going back and forth, and
no
there's
one's giving him a lift.
single person walking and he's in fucking crutches.
And not only that, but his humiliation just gets piled on in this next scene. So we see him at the law firm, and now we get to see why he doesn't like this job, because literally every one of his co-workers, bar one, harass him. So he's just sitting there at his job. Everyone's just fucking piling on him. Just shitting on him the whole time. Except for one. Very delightful.
We like her.
Delightful lady. Her name is spelled, it's L-Y. You say Lee? Lee? Let's say Lee.
Oh, but that's like Danny Lee's Lee. Oh, fuck. I just called her the nice office lady.
All right, we'll call her nice office lady. All right, that's all right for the rest of this. Nice office lady, played by Lee, who, and let me see, can you guess?
Shaw Brothers.
Yeah, she's in Shaw Brothers movies. There you go.
Bunch of movies.
She's been in a bunch of Shaw Brothers movies. So yeah, she's the one kind of shining light, nice office lady.
Cooks a great curry.
Fucking hell, that scene's so funny. And out of whose office, the lawyer who, we see a babe. A babe getting let out. Miss Lamb. Right. And she's a dancer. And we find out this case that he's taken, it's a sexual assault case. The lawyer who is super confident he's going to win this case. He's like, don't worry, we got this. We've set up one of our irrelevant side quests.
But this is kind of also where we learn that the boss is a bit of a shady guy who defends like crooked people.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we maybe don't. We get that feeling already, right? We see something's not quite right. About this.
But we also know that he takes a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
So basically, whatever profits they get from winning a case, he takes the vast majority.
Yeah, he's a cunt.
Yeah.
He's a proper cunt. And then this is one of my favorite bits. So Danny Lee heads home. Fuck, this is funny. The more I think about this, the funnier I find it. So he heads home, and little Yu is there. And she's like, yeah, where's my dad? What happened with my dad? And he's like, he's dead. Like, she found out from Danny Lee, who just fucking went to work.
She didn't know.
Instead of telling little Yu that her fucking dad got executed.
Yeah.
So she's fucking shell-shocked by this news.
Yeah.
And he just brings her inside and sort of sits her down. But the music in this is like goofball, nonchalant, like not the kind of music you'd hear when you've just had the news broken to you that your fucking dad's dead.
How didn't she know?
Because fucking Danny Lee didn't tell her.
Oh, my
And for some reason, the dad only requested to see Danny Lee and not his own daughter.
30 minutes. So.
Yeah, you got to see Danny Lee. So he's with little Yu, trying to help her out, and he's like, "You got to be brave. I know your dad's dead. You got to be brave."
This scene was so funny.
Oh wait, is it the side eye moment?
Yeah.
So, yeah, is that the bit you're talking about? Because this is one of the funniest things.
When he's like, don't worry, you've got me.
Yes, and then, oh my god, so he said that, and then there's a shot of her looking down at his crippled legs, and just has this look of like, nah.
And we get a very subtle zoom on his crutches.
It's so awful. And yeah, that was, dude, I laughed so hard at that shot. She's like, this is the other thing I found funny. So she's side-eyed him, basically shit on him for being a cripple without even saying anything. And then she's like, oh, you're so nice. You're a nice guy. She's like fully friend-zoning him. And then he like kisses her. It's like really awkward. He like awkwardly kisses her, but her face is like, she's like accepting it, but she's not into it. And it's just... It's kind of amazing. It's so fucking grim, all that stuff.
He is a weak little man in this.
Yeah, he's a weak little cucked cripple. And he's worried about the Yang brothers. She's like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'll deal with it myself. And fucks off, runs away. And he tries to run after her, but he can't.
Oh no.
Oh, this film is so...
And that's when he's like, I'm nasty. A cripple and a loser. Yeah. And he throws his crutches And then he falls over because he's a fucking cripple.
我真是个废物啊！
And then, of course, he gets to the source as a big old drink. It's all very self-indulgent.
I love this
But
stuff. He's going nuts.
Yeah.
He's flung his crutches away, angrily drinking, crawling around,
Crawling.
smashing shit. He's in a fucking state.
Yeah.
He's in a state.
He finds the spell taken off Uncle Abba's back.
Yeah.
So what does he do? Oh, what does the spell tell him to do? It's the fucking most ridiculous spell.
The first instruction is like, dig a hole in your house,
Right, isn't it? Dig a hole in your house.
Dig a hole in your house. He's like instantly hammering a fucking hole in his house. Digs a massive hole. And,
In the floor?
Yeah,
Like-
in the floor. He
In the middle of
smashes
the
up
floor.
his fucking floor.
You would think if you were going to dig a hole in the floor, you would maybe not do it in the middle of your living room. Like maybe like somewhere they don't walk through every day.
Yeah, it's like right smack bang. It's like right in front of the door, right? It's a fucking health hazard.
Like a booby trap.
Oh god. But yeah, he digs this big fucking hole, gets into it, and like so it's massive, this hole. He's in the hole.
Yeah.
He's fucking in the hole.
It's like the size of a well or
Yeah,
something.
it's huge. And he starts doing like a black magic chant for peace and power, which I don't know about the peace part. But anyway, so there's like this madcap fucking cutting. It's like cutting between all these fucking things. It's really fast. And all this oil starts like pouring into the hole from somewhere. And he's like being submerged in this oil and sinking down into it.
And what does he come out as? The
Oily Maniac blasts out of the fucking hole. He comes out screaming.
Yeah.
Screaming. And we will hear this scream a lot in this film.
This fucking
It reminded
scream.
me of a Night Evil Soul with the cat
exactly
scream.
the same. Just
Oh,
they have
God.
one scream and they use it relentlessly.
How would you say the scream goes? What's it like?
Let me try and mimic it.
Ah! I can't do it.
So he goes into the oil hole with this spell, which is used to help people. And if it's used incorrectly, bad things will happen. So it has to be used with good intent. So he has the good intent, so we think. He says the spell. He comes out as the oily maniac. Was this supposed to happen?
That's a good question. I think so.
Because
I feel like this is
I feel like he got the bad end of the stick there. Like, I don't think anyone was expecting for him to turn into a big fucking oily blobby man.
That is quite funny, like, that they've not mentioned anything about, like, by the way, this will turn you into an oily maniac.
Uncle Abba's just like, use this spell to help little Yue.
Yeah.
No mention of him turning into a big fucking black blobby monster. If I came out as him, I'd be like, mate, that fucking cunt.
I wonder how much mental capacity he has as the oily maniac. Like, how aware of everything is he when he's the oily maniac? Because he doesn't seem to be very, like, cognitive.
No.
He's just like, "Ah!" fucking doing flips and fucking going bonkers, screaming constantly.
Even as like a human, as a normal person, he seems very on edge, not really in control of his emotions.
Yeah.
So to be fucking turned into a giant fucking monster,
Not a good idea.
no. I would not feel safe around him.
They should have, Abba should have done the spell, like, before he got killed.
He should have.
Turned himself into the oily maniac. He
And
seemed
then
like
he wouldn't have died.
yeah, he would have been fine. He would have
been invincible.
Could have helped little you. Should have done that.
So
Would have been a much shorter film. 30 minutes.
About the same time as his life sentence.
Yeah.
Death sentence.
So let's talk about what the oily maniac looks like, because it is a pretty fucking crazy design, and it is nothing like the other oily maniac movie. So as I
Right.
said, in that 50s version, he's just a man that's been a bit tarred up, basically.
Right.
This oily maniac is like a giant poo, would you say? A big turd?
Yeah, that's probably a good way
But
to
he's
put it.
also quite cute. He's got cute little yellow eyes and a little mouth.
It's a very small mouth with lots of protruding teeth.
Yeah. Big shoulders. He's quite a lump. He's a little bit Gumby-esque as well.
I don't know how I would describe it. It's almost kind of like a mix between the Toxic Avenger and Mr. Blobby.
That's perfect, actually. Yeah, that's actually perfect.
Hey!
That's it. So just imagine Toxic Avenger, that kind of skin quality,
Yeah.
plus Mr. Blobby's general shape.
Yeah.
And that's it. He's also got like an exposed heart, which we see a lot. And you're like, when you see it, you're like, oh, this will be the thing that takes him down.
That's got to be his weak point.
We'll get to that later.
Nothing everywhere.
But the other thing, when he comes out, and the first time I saw this, I'm like, hang on, what's going on with the music here? Because we start hearing something that sounds identical
Vaguely familiar, isn't it?
to the fucking Jaws theme. It's not just like
Is it not?
dun, 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 dun. It's like it does everything. It has all the same beats and like
Right.
the same. I mean, I fucking love Jaws, and I know that soundtrack well. It does the same sort of crescendo. We don't really hear it yet, but later on, I'm just like, come on, man, this is just fucking Jaws at this point. So every time we see the oily maniac, he's screaming. We've got this Jaws rip-off music playing, so that'll give you a little idea of what he's like.
What it's like. So, we cut to little Yu. She's in bed, and we get the gang members.
The Yang
Yangs
bros.
are gonna...
Suddenly brothers.
Oh, yeah.
I only thought it was one Yang, but we've got brothers now.
And I thought that whole thing, they were just after the coconut plants, but no, they're after little Yu. So they are coming in the middle of the night to rape little Yu. We kind of learn now how the oily maniac moves around. Because whilst he can run and jump in both forward motion and backwards motion, he can also melt himself down into oil patches and creep along the floor, which is done in very glorious, cheap fashion. It is just like a texture on the floor, like which moves. How would you describe that?
It's like a dodgy puddle, like
a
animated
superimposed
puddle.
puddle thing that just moves across the screen.
Yeah. So yeah, the Yangs have walloped little Yu in the face, knocked her out, ripped her shirt off. There's a lot of gratuitous boobs in this film.
Most of them little Yu's.
Mostly little Yu, but like any chance this film gets, it'll show some boobs. But yeah, she's knocked out. The Yang is like, all right, to his brother, you go first.
Yeah.
I'll wait outside. I'll take sloppy seconds later.
Oh, why would you choose that?
So yeah, the animated oil slick comes in, and the Yang brother is trying to rape little Yu, but then the oily maniac appears from behind him and starts beating the fucking shit out of him, smashes him to fucking smithereens. And I love this. He's like beating the shit out of him, and as he beats him up, this like wooden divider, like wall divider kind of thing, falls down and very clearly falls onto the actor's face.
Oh,
it looks
I didn't notice
really
that.
painful. And to the actor's credit, he doesn't fucking flinch at all. It smashes onto his face. That's some Shaw Brothers
quality, that is.
But I had a big old laugh at that moment. And the oily maniac puts a blanket over Yu after rescuing her.
So he still is in somewhat control.
Yeah, so maybe he is still Danny Lee inside there.
He covers her up like a nice man. And then he kind of runs away almost in double time. So like his running away footage has been sped up. So this whole time he either moves as a oil spill or he runs
and
with sped up footage.
And does kind of like parkour style jumps as he goes off. And yeah, he heads home, rolls onto his belly, as he always does when he transforms back into Danny Lee. And yeah, he turns back into Danny Lee. And I love it when he's like waking up, he's cross-eyed. He's like, like all cross-eyed. And he's just like a little bit speckled with oil. But his house is a fucking mess now, mate.
It's covered in oil.
Oh, that made me feel sick. Imagine having all that oil all over your place.
Nah, I wouldn't fancy it.
I would not fancy that at all.
So then the next scene I actually quite loved. So we're in the police station and the Yang gangster guy is basically reporting the oily maniac. And the police are like, oh, no, what are you talking about? There's no oily maniac. You must be crazy. Have him committed to the mental hospital. And the other policeman's like, oh yeah, okay, let's go. And they just like drag him away as if you can just commit someone to a hospital. Just like that. With no like doctor supervision whatsoever. Just the policeman saying, he's clearly crazy talking about an oily maniac. Get rid of him.
So right after he's dragged away, we get newspapers flying onto the screen, and it's talking about the oily maniac. Guess the news leaked out to the journalist.
Yeah.
But it's talking about the oily maniac killing one of the Yang brothers. And then as we're seeing these newspapers, it pans across to a story about the sexual assault case we heard about earlier with the dancer, Miss Lam. So then we cut to that court room with that trial happening, and we've got a young hunk on trial. His name's Hong the Hunk. He's played by Lam Feng, who, guess what he's in?
Shaw Brothers movies.
He's in a lot of Shaw Brothers movies, that's right.
I'm getting good at this.
He's in one movie that I haven't seen that sounds and looks amazing called Battle Wizard. Shaw Brothers movie called Battle Wizard. I fucking want to watch that. So Hong is on trial for raping this dancer, Miss Lam. He's getting interrogated by the dodgy lawyer. And Hong, we kind of get a little Rashomon kind of scene here, where Hong tells the story of what happened. And in his version of the story, he was coming home from a business dinner. Then Miss Lam, the dancer, came home drunk out of her fucking mind, and he helped her into the room, put her into the bed. She went in for a kiss. He pulled away, tried to run away, but she was super, super horny and showed off her bod to him and coaxed him into bed for a shag. I love that in his version of the story, he's still the bad guy because he fucked a very, very, very drunk woman. That's his version of the story. So then Miss Lam comes up. She gives her version of the story. In her one, it's like a role reversal. She's dressed down in this.
I love the way she's dressed, like real like business attire.
Yeah, ridiculously.
She looks like a real good girl.
Yeah, very virginally dressed. Is that a thing? But yeah, she's sober in her story, and he's fucking drunk, lumbering out of his apartment. Who the lawyer is like, did he touch your breasts? Both sides.
Both sides.
And his hand was on your genitals, like just asking all these like very intense questions. And yeah, she gives details of what happened, saying that she was raped. It's all shown in flashbacks. And Hong the Hunk. He's fucked. Like everyone buys this story.
Yeah,
it's all over for him. And yeah,
we don't actually know did he do it or not. Did he?
I think it's implied pretty heavily that his version is true, just based on what Lam, the dancer, like what she's doing in this scene, right? Because she's sort of sitting down or sort of smug and laughing about it. And yeah, he's found guilty. He has to give her $200,000.
And the boss of the law firm, doesn't he take like 80%?
Yeah, so she will only get 20% of this, and he takes the rest because he did all the work, as he says. And
she's kind of fine with that as well.
Well, they're sort of like gloating about this, that they've sort of won this case. She's, I guess, agreed to that beforehand. But Danny Lee is listening in on all of this as the assistant to the lawyer, and he is fucking pissed. He's super pissed about this whole situation.
So next we cut to old Danny Lee going to the little Yu's house. He brings durian as a romantic gesture.
I found that very confusing because he's like, it's durian from Malaysia. But isn't this film set in Malaysia?
I think they made a mistake.
Yeah, I was kind of confused by that.
But durian's like a kind of like luxury food in some places.
Right. It's
have
pricey.
you ever tried durian?
Is that the one that stinks?
Yes. It fucking reeks.
I think I have had it once before a long time ago.
It is awful. Awful.
I remember quite liking it. I remember the smell being really bad, but the taste being quite good.
Right.
Yeah.
In a lot of places, like Malaysia, at least Thailand, I know for sure, you're not allowed to bring durian on public transport.
Makes sense. Yeah. Because it reeks.
Yes. So little Danny Lee. So Danny Lee comes hobbling in with durian from Malaysia.
Big stinky durian.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, you have a little crack on this, like a big man. And doesn't he say he wants to marry her?
Oh, yeah. So this whole scene is so bleak and cucky. So she's got like a meal set up. She's like, yeah, a friend's coming over. And you're instantly like, oh fuck, Danny Lee, get out of there right now. And yeah, as you said, he's like, yeah, I want to marry you. And she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm promised to someone else.
Yeah.
And who is it?
Beatles man
Chen, the guy who had to sign the contract at the start with the Yang brothers.
Oh man.
But he seems all right. He seems like a pretty good guy.
For now.
We'll see.
I love this next part. So
Danny Lee getting sent out.
Yes. No, when he comes back.
Yeah. So he's left.
Yeah. He leaves them to it, but he has to go back. He hobbles back to the window, peeks in, and sees them going at it. Mm-hmm. So they're in deep, full-on love-making session, and Danny Lee, he's in the rain with his crutches, and he looks fucking livid, and he just says, women!
I reckon you could cut this scene out of the film and upload it on Pornhub as cuck porn, and it would get like millions of views. They would love it.
So who's his women? He's just so angry at women in general.
He's furious. So he is wound up at this point, and we cut to the spookiest place in the world, a Caltex petrol station. Wind is howling. He runs over, grabs the gas pump, and starts like blasting oil all over himself. Yeah. And he turns into the oily maniac and blubbers off on his way to do some nasty work.
To the rape victim.
Yes. So he's taken out his rage on Miss Lamb, the dancer.
Oh no. So
also there's a lot of things that made me laugh very hard in this scene. Miss Lamb is with a client, I guess, because she's also a prostitute, maybe that's what it seemed to be implying in the scene. But she's with a kind of businessman looking guy, and she's like, yeah, you wait here, I gotta take a shower. And she puts on this like shitty music for him to listen to, which he loves. He's absolutely loving the music.
Into it, yeah.
And she goes into this absolutely fucking obscenely pink bathroom. But she said that she's going to have a shower. Yeah. But then she's fucking running the bathtub.
Mate, that takes so much longer.
He's going to be waiting a long time.
I hope he's not paying by the hour. Yeah. Fucking hell.
But what starts happening?
So, of course, where there was once water, now oil comes pouring out of the tap. And the bathwater turns all black and gross, and he just emerges. He emerges out of the bath and just goes to strangle her. She's screaming, he's throttling her, and strangles her to death, the stripper lady. Then he leaves the bathroom, goes into the bedroom, and the guy is still just grooving out to this music, and seems quite unfazed by it initially, until he notices the guy, but the oily maniac spares him.
Yeah, I was so disappointed by that. Kill that fucking idiot customer.
He kind of just walks by.
Yeah, he's just like walks off.
Yeah, which I guess goes back to he's only hurting the people who deserve it.
Maybe, yeah. But come on, he should have smashed that guy.
We want a body count, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he just like bumbles his way out the door. It's a relatively harmless scene. We don't really see too much of anything.
And all the chokings, there's quite a number of strangulations in this, and they're all very quick. This film seems to imply that you can wrap your hands lightly around a throat for 3 seconds and that someone's dead from that. So it's very quick. It's like, boom, oh, dead.
And this is one of the things about this film is, I mean, we're essentially just seeing the oily maniac just kill people for the remainder of the film. And most of the time, there are very harmless, very light choking scenes, or bonkings on the head, or a stump on the chest, or whatever. But every now and again, we will get such a fucking grotesque, fucked up scene.
Yeah.
And when those come around, I was like, what the hell? When did this come into play? Because it's such a kind of playful and harmless movie. But when the blood does start to run, it is insanely graphic.
I totally agree. It's very unpredictable.
Yeah.
Where you'll be like, oh, just a light choking.
Yeah.
And then, oh, that guy's head just got popped. Like, it's fucking nuts. So Hong, the hunk, the guy that got charged for raping the dancer, he's now arrested for murder.
Oh, yeah, so they think he
Poor
murdered
guy.
her. Yeah.
What a mess.
Yeah.
Well, not poor guy. Even his version of the story, he was a cunt. And yeah, the police are getting interviewed by journalists, and the police are like, yeah, he's the oily maniac. Guaranteed he's the oily maniac.
I love how matter-of-fact it all is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, he's the oily maniac. There's no question as to why the fuck there is an oily maniac.
Why was he the oily maniac? What is the oily maniac?
Oh, that was him. There's not going to be no more oily maniacs lurking the streets. He's in the bar now. Yeah.
So then we go to the law firm again, and we meet our next case. We've got Julie Moe.
Oh, yeah.
Is her name. She's there to see who the lawyer. And this stuff is fucking nuts. So she's the singer of a band. She's like a celebrity. And she's talking to who about the situation. He's recording it on tape.
Yeah.
And she's talking about she's had a plastic surgery disaster. And he's like, well, let me see. What's the disaster? And she's like, oh, it's my boobs.
Yeah.
And he's like, go on, let's see. And she lifts up her shirt, and it's a fucking mess. It's a mess. One of her boobs is normal, and the other one looks like it's been through the wars
like
or something.
A really fucking long, scarred, like down-pointed titty. Like,
It's a mess.
but the best thing, the sound.
The music, yes. Oh, the sting as it shows it.
It's like, wow.
Oh, fuck.
funny.
It's so fucking good. Oh, that was great. But yeah, she's like, this has fucked up my career. I want the plastic surgeon to pay me, what was it, 150,000 buckaroons. Yeah, she's like, the surgeon had no license. I should be able to get this money. But
she signed a bloody consent form.
Once again, getting screwed over by consent forms. But the lawyer's like, look, I'll negotiate. I'll get you 10,000. We'll have someone fix that fucked up boob.
But he's taking 5.
He's taken 50%. Yeah.
Oh, what a dick.
And he sends her home. Then Miss Yoko,
The surgeon.
the plastic surgeon, comes in, and we see what an utter little weasel this lawyer is. Because he's like, you need to pay 150,000. And, you know, if you don't, you're going to go to prison. So this is a small amount of money to pay to stay out of prison. So she's like, all right. Yeah, he's basically just got a fuck ton of money out of this woman and only has to pay Mo, the boob lady, a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
And we also meet around here, we start to see more of the lawyer's secretary, who is just loving this shit. She's like, fuck, you're a genius. She loves the lawyer. She's like hugging him. This is fucking great. Having a great old time.
Great old time. Whoa, she's getting all the benefits.
Yeah.
I don't think like she's her mistress or wife, but probably mistress.
She's the mistress. It's mentioned later on that who the lawyer has a wife. And Danny Lee, once again, he's witnessing this situation. He's not looking pleased. He's fucking annoyed. And he comes in and hears the tape of Mo talking, and he's like, fuck.
Gotta avenge the boob lady.
He needs to avenge the boob lady.
So, into the greatest scene. And actually, one of the reasons as to why I wanted to watch this movie initially. So, probably should have mentioned this earlier on. So I've seen this film before.
I probably should have mentioned before, we've broken the format of the show.
No, I came across... I was not aware of this film up until very recently. And I was on I can't remember which film, it's like a British distribution website. And they were doing this massive sale. And they had Oily Maniac for like £5, a DVD. And I was like, what the fuck is the Oily Maniac? That sounds wild. And on the British DVD, on the top half of the cover, you have, of course, the man himself, the Oily Maniac, who looks fucking awesome. And on the bottom half, a picture of a very distressing looking surgery scene.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I fucking love medical horror.
Right.
It is one of the greatest subgenres because it's so deeply rooted in our primal fears, you know. Surgery is a terrifying thing. So anytime like a surgery scene gets written into a horror film, I'm fucking there. I absolutely love it. And this is a beautiful surgery scene.
It's great.
It is the best scene.
Oh, by far. Like, this is by far the best scene.
It has everything.
I don't know if I would have done this film if this scene wasn't in it.
Right.
Actually, yeah. It is the best part by far. So it's the plastic surgeon's operating theater, right?
Sure.
And she doesn't have a license.
Yeah.
Because, as we see in this scene, her clientele is a bit dodgy. So we've got a man who is clearly a pimp.
Right.
Coming in with a prostitute. And this is where I wasn't 100% sure on something in this. Because this is my take on it. Let me know if you agree. So he's come in with this prostitute and he says it didn't look like she was a virgin. So you have to do the surgery again or something like that. My assumption of this was that the plastic surgeon is doing some sort of plastic surgery on her bits to make her look like a virgin again.
Sure.
However, I've also read reviews that refer to this scene as an abortion scene, which it does kind of have that vibe to it. But I think based on what they're saying and based on the fact that she's a plastic surgeon, yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, because he also says, like, you know, she hardly bled, so you have to pay more attention. And so it sounds like she's trying to make these women appear to be virgins.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Maybe she's like half sewing them shut.
Yeah,
so they bleed more and appear to be virgins when they have sex.
Which is really disturbing.
Yes.
And I think that's what it is. I think it's meant to be that. I think maybe the reviews that refer to it as an abortion are maybe not watching it. Like that clearly, yeah.
It's it's really brief and it's like, wait, what is he saying? It's like, she hardly bled, you need to pay more attention, there are 4 more girls coming.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. But it does look kind of like a classic abortion scene, right? Where this woman is put down on the stretcher. Her legs are...
boob scene.
Oh yeah, more gratuitous boobs. Her legs are up in the air, and...
Oh, they're on those, what do you call it, the holsters? The strips? Is that it?
Stirrups, yeah. I think that's what it is, yeah.
Fucking wide open.
Yeah, it's fucked. And the doctor, Yoko, she's just like ripping bits out.
Oh, she says, no need to, no need to use the anesthetic. Just do it on the lower half. So the girl is wide awake, just looking down, like, what's going on down there with my bits?
Yeah. And yeah, she's just pulling stuff out, doing whatever. Oh, fuck. This scene's so fucking crazy. And then the animated oil slick.
Oh, love it.
Starts to appear above them in the operating room. So she's got a leg spread, the doctor's working on her, all the nurses are around. And yeah, this animated oil slick appears above. And then we get the most insane shot where the oil drips down, like falls down from above, lands between the woman's legs. That sort of splashes down this oil. And then the oily maniac hammers down into the scene like the fucking maniac that he is. He's a fucking force of chaos. I love the chaos of this scene. He comes down, instantly flings over the fucking operating table, so the woman gets like flung over.
The lady having fucking surgery on her bits.
Yeah.
He throws her up into the air by like her head.
Yeah.
She's not done anything wrong, and she's just like, "Well, here I go."
Yeah. We don't really know what happens to her as well.
She's been flung.
But he makes a fucking oily beeline straight for that surgeon, and this is where we get, as you said, we have these moments of sudden extreme violence, and this is one of them where he is fucking beating the shit out of her, and he just starts stomping on her, and crushes her head. To smithereens.
It was so quick.
It's very fast, yeah.
So he like stomps on her chest multiple times, and then we get a shot which it's kind of like further away than the previous shots. And it's not even center framed. I think in the center of the frame, there's like maybe like a fucking bed pole or something. And so she's kind of off center in the background. And you just see him smash her head under his foot. And when I watched, I was like, wait, what? Because I don't even know how far into the movie we are now, but we've not seen really any blood. Up until this point.
Like the first really violent moment.
It's a couple of like choke-ins and head bonkings. And then all of a sudden, he just fucking crushes her head. And it just deflates. It disintegrates and blood everywhere. It's beautiful.
I do quite like, as you said, it's like really fast to the point where you're almost like, whoa, what the fuck did I just see?
It
like,
is a blink and you'll miss
really
it.
Quick. But I kind of almost like that because it makes it almost more disturbing. It's so out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
And once again, he smashes through the door to the operating theater. Just fucking lumbers through. I love what a fucking idiot he is.
And he casually walks out the door.
Yeah. And he goes right past the pimp. Once again, ignores the douchebag. The douchebag guy is involved in this. And this is where he does full parkour, jumping over buildings.
Oh, I love it. Chase sequence ensues.
This is this stuff that he's doing here, this is very much in line with the Oil Man kind of story. Like the tale of him like jumping up buildings and like being a slippery little oil man.
The pimp guy, he's on a bicycle and he's going to chase her. So we get a bicycle oily maniac chasing. And so the pimp's on a bike trying to catch up to this guy with the oily maniac. And it's all kind of reverse photography, right?
He's like jumping
up on buses, over walls, and the pimp is chasing him. And it goes on for so long, and there's like this knockout piano score playing on top. The music is absolutely incredible.
But eventually, Danny Lee gets back home, turns back into Danny Lee, from Oily Maniac into Danny Lee, and the pimp has seen this happen. So he's a cheeky little pimp now. He's got some leverage over the Oily Maniac now. Then we go to the scene of the crime, which this scene, again, another scene that just cracked me up. Yeah. Something fierce. So all the cops are on the scene of the crime, and someone's like, it's oily everywhere. Which is great. And then like one of the cops is like trying to like work out why he's the Oily Maniac, and he's like, yeah, I guess he put oil over his body so he could move faster.
Yeah. And the other guy is just like, and he starts like rubbing his chin. He's got fucking oil all over his hand. He blackens up his whole face.
Oh man, stupid cops. And back to the law firm. Danny Lee gets a call from the pimp. And the pimp is blackmailing him for $5,000. And if he doesn't pay him, he's going to tell the police. So he says, be at the docks at midnight. So the pimp and all of his mates are at the docks waiting for the Oily Maniac. They've like, we've got it covered. Every possible entrance he could come in.
Every possible.
We've got it covered. All of this for 5,000, is it Hong Kong dollars? Because that's not much.
$500.
He's going to have to pay all of his mates for this. Seems a bit over the top, a bit risky for 5,000.
Yeah.
But he's like, thinks he's covered every possible way that the Oily Maniac can get in. But then the Oily Maniac fucking bubbles out of the seawater and blasts out onto the docks and just instantly is smashing the shit out of all these goons.
I think this is the point where we get the most screams. Where we have his scream just relentlessly playing every time he bonks someone on the head. Yeah! And again, jumping up and off and over various things. Yeah. Lots of reverse photography.
A lot of jumping.
Yeah.
I love that hilarious. There's a jump where he jumps up to like a crane or something like that. But because it's obviously a very high spot, it's not a person anymore doing the jump. So they've clearly just like hoisted up a dummy. So it's like, that was great. And the pimp, once again, so he smashed up all the pimp's goons very easily. The pimp's trying to get away, and the Oily Maniac jumps down in front of him and beats him to death with his own fucking bike. The bike that he loved So much has now been turned into a weapon.
Can you imagine being beaten to death with your own bicycle? That's such a bad way to go.
What a way to go. Oh, man. But, nice office lady.
Oh, we like
Lily Lee. She's come over to see Danny Lee, but has now witnessed him. Maybe she hasn't witnessed the transformation yet, but she sees that he's like a bit oily.
She calls him, and he's just like, I'm busy. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Don't bother me. And he kind of goes back inside. But she's got like her hands on the bars outside his home. And when she takes her hand off, she's like, oil. There's oil on these bars.
He must be the oily maniac.
That doesn't defer her, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not at all. So the next time she sees him at the office, she invites him over for a feast.
Oh, man.
Beginning at 8 p.m.
Dude. And what time does he roll in at?
Fucking 10. And he is such a cunt.
Dude.
So
livid. I was livid.
Oh, mate.
Because nice office lady is an absolute 10.
Yeah.
She's got everything.
She's cooked a fucking absolute fucking feast.
A feast. And she's nice. She doesn't care that he's a cripple.
Yeah.
She loves him for who he is. But him, being a fucking idiot, rolls in 2 hours late, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm late. I was having, I was a little use." And the nice office lady, she's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll heat up this food." She's been waiting. She's still sitting at
2
the dinner
hours.
table. She's like, I'll heat up this food." He's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry, love. I already ate.
I ate curry at Little Yu's house.
And
she cooks the best curry."
Yeah, she's like, "You already ate?" And he just cannot read the air whatsoever. And he's like, "Oh, I ate curry. Little you made curry. Have you tried her curry? It's the best curry ever. It's out of this world. I cannot eat anyone else's curry after eating her curry." And what has she gone and cooked?
She's gone and cooked some fucking curry, mate.
Can you believe it? And then we get another one of these zooms in on her curry dish.
Oh man, that was...
I love it. The zoom in on the curry.
Oh god, that was great.
And so, she's crying.
Yeah, she is understandably distraught. What an utter... Like, this was the scene that made me go like, fuck Danny Lee, fuck the oily maniac.
He doesn't deserve the nice office lady.
Yeah, he deserves a... What did the dad say? A painful death or a terrible death? Because of what because of what he did to nice office lady. Maybe that's the reason.
Oh, maybe.
But yeah, so he's about to leave, but then nice office lady is like, "Look, let me tell you a little story about little you.
Oh, yeah.
I got some little you goss for you." And she tells a story about something that she saw at the office. She saw Chen. Remember Chen?
Chen, Beatles. So Beatles guy, who is Little Yu's now lover and, fiance, I guess. But she saw him at the office, not only with cunt lawyer Hugh, but with Yang. The cunt rapist.
Yeah. We've said cunt quite a lot in this episode. Oh. With the cunt rapist. So they are all in cahoots.
Yeah.
And that scene at the start with the fucking contract signing where Little Yu's dad stabbed the guy and got executed, all of that was a setup for basically in order for Yang to have more power, to basically kill off, I guess, one of his brothers for him to have more money. Didn't quite get the details of it, but it was a fucking scam.
It was a
That's
scam.
the word I'm looking for. It was a dang scam.
It's a dang scam.
It was a dang scam.
Terrible.
And also...
not only that,
yeah. Not only that. What else?
What else? I'll tell you what else. So, not only is Beatles not even interested in Little Yu, he's planning on feeding her to the gross rapist man.
He's re-gifting her to Yang.
You can't do that.
That was part of the deal, apparently.
Oh.
Oof. Grim. So, of course, Danny Lee is freaking out about
livid.
This. He's livid. Then, Little Yu's house. Chen and Yang show up. And they leave a cheeky little note for her to tell her to come to the coconut oil factory. She sees a note, goes to the factory.
I gotta say, she looks very stylish.
Does she?
She's got a wicked dress on in this scene.
Didn't notice.
I was like, damn, that's a great dress.
I did not pay much attention to her dress.
That's
I'll
one
have
of
to
the
go back and
main
check it
things
out.
I took away from this scene. I was
Nice
like, that
dress.
is a great dress. Unfortunately, gets ripped up very quickly.
Yeah. So she goes to the factory, and as you said, very quickly, Yang appears.
Yeah.
And rips that dress off. Once again, gratuitous boobs out. And
Spare the dress.
yeah, she... Hashtag spare the dress, guys. Come on.
He rips the dress. She tries to reach for some kind of
like a
weapon hook
it's
kind
like
of thing.
Hook just lying around. In
Imagine
the
the kind of hook that you would use to pick up hay bales with.
factory. I thought you were going to say smash a coconut with.
That might be what it
It
is.
is a coconut factory.
But he bonks her, does the deed, and then she wakes up, kind of comes around, and then she sees Yang the rapist and her lover, Beatles man, talking.
Having
and
a laugh.
knowing it was all part of the plan. She was used, raped, and bonked. And that's her whole life. She was going to marry this person. Not only was she going to marry this person, but she knows that her fiance has just worked with someone who's just raped her.
Pretty fucked.
And it's all part of his plan.
All just for a
That's
freaking
terrible.
coconut factory.
Mate, coconuts aren't even that nice. I'm saying it. I'm going on record. I'm not even that fond of coconuts.
Imagine if our listenership just dropped off massively after your coconut comments. You got cancelled. Cancelled for coconuts. So she goes back to that hook thing that she had before. And then we cut away.
What's she going to do with
What
it?
happened? We don't know. Is she going to get revenge? What's she going to do? We don't know. Then fucking Danny Lee. So I got to say as well, in that whole sequence that we saw, the whole time, the first time I watched this, I don't know about you, but I'm like, oh, the oily maniac's going to save her.
Yeah.
Because all throughout the scene, we're cutting to a pipe that's gushing out oil.
Yeah.
And the film is deliberately fucking with us where it's like, hey, he's coming, it's alright, don't worry. But he doesn't.
It doesn't. That whole time we're just staring at this oil pouring out of a pipe.
Yeah, that is quite a cruel little move from the film, isn't it?
We liked little you.
She was fine.
She was fine.
Yeah.
She's no nice office lady.
Yeah, nice
but,
office lady is better.
But still, she didn't deserve to be raped.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. So Danny Lee goes over to her place, finds the letter, goes to the coconut factory, and sees blood dripping from the, up high from where she was. Goes up, finds little you dead. She's killed herself. She's hooked herself to bits. He's fucking pissed off. His eyes turn blood red, literally. Cut to, I fucking love this.
Oh, yes.
A construction site.
This is great.
Where all these fucking lads are just banging about, like doing random construction. Who fucking knows what they're doing? But there's a big barrel of boiling oil.
Oh, yeah, they use that for construction, don't
Is
they?
that what's going? What are they doing?
I think they're like paving the road or something. Or I think it was like tar or like a boiling
Oh, is that
tar.
what it was? Okay, right. But it was just so chaotic. This
Drum can
construction
full of
site.
like boiling oil, yeah.
And Danny Lee just goes straight to that barrel.
Love it.
And he's just pouring oil. He's like dashing it over himself. And then he's like, fuck it, here we go. Oily maniac time. Gets into the barrel.
Yes.
Sinks himself down. And the oily maniac is fucking back.
Oh, we like the oily maniac.
Then back to the law firm. And we've got all our villains lined up now. So we got Yang, that cunt. We got Beatles. We got Dodgy Lawyer. We got Dodgy Lawyer, Shitty Secretary. And they're all just having a fucking laugh at little Yu's expense.
Oh, poor little you.
Hugh and the secretary are like, all right, we're out of here, guys. On our way. And the oily maniac is watching this take place.
Is this the car scene?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I loved this scene.
It's great.
This is great. So you got the gross boss in the car with his mistress, and they're kind of getting down to it, having a bit of a fun, steamy car session. And
More
all of
gratuitous boobs.
More boobs. And all of a sudden, oil just starts pouring down on outside. So on the outside of the windscreen and the windows, and it's this really gross green. It almost like like luminous green. I don't know if that's what oil looks like through a window, but it's not black. It looks very green.
It's very yucky.
And the mistress kind of realizes what's going on. And she's like, what the fuck? And all of a sudden, the oily maniac just sits up from the back seat. There's no, like, grand entry whatsoever. He's just like screaming. He's like, hello. And he kind of just sits up as if he's been lying down in the back seat the whole time. Once again, we get another very just pathetic choke scene where he chokes out the mistress. But then we get the most graphic scene. And it's so graphic, yet it's so, like...
Frantic.
Just fumbly. In a number of reasons, fumbly. So he just takes the head of the boss, and it just crumbles within his hand.
Yeah, he's just
he kind of just gets his hand, it goes like... and crushes his head. And it's just... It's almost as if, like, a fucking... I don't know, a melon that's just been crushed. Yeah. And it all just falls apart in glorious bloody fashion. And that was another moment where I was like, whoa, this was real out of left field. Because we had a very shitty choke scene. It's just not really that interesting to look at. But then he crumbles a man's head in his hands. It's either one or the other. It's either very, very passive and boring or extremely gory and violent.
Did you also find it was really weird after he kills the mistress, he, like, spreads her legs? Why'd he do that?
Yeah, that's so weird.
It's so weird. He, like, strangles her, and then he's just like, oh, spread these legs.
And we get that weird zoom in on her face.
It's an odd...
Yeah, I don't know why he does that.
Weird move from the oily maniac there. So the nice office lady heads over to Danny Lee's place, and she goes into his house and is like, what's under this carpet? Opens it up. It's just full of oil. It's the hole with all the oil. And she's like, oh dear. And goes and hides off to the side. The oily maniac comes stumbling back in, which I just love the image of him just walking into a normal house. Just like, hey, what's going on? Coming back from work. And he morphs back into Danny Lee again. And nice office lady cannot fucking believe her eyes. And she's hiding, but Danny Lee sees her, right? He sees her hiding, essentially looks like he's about to kill her. He takes out a sword, his eyes are still all red, and he said, I'm out for fucking revenge. I'll destroy myself, but not yet. I've got to get revenge on two more people, Yang and Beatles man, Cheng. She needs to get revenge on them. And then he zooms out and leaves nice office lady in his oily apartment. Back to the law firm, the cops show up and they're like, keep a lookout. Everyone's a suspect in here. Even this crippled guy.
They give him a shifty look, don't they?
Yeah, like, suspect everyone, even the crippled guy. And nice office lady, I guess, feeling a sense of kind of moral duty, ends up calling Yang to warn him that the oily maniac is going to come and get him.
Yeah.
But the cops are watching everyone in the office.
They've tapped all their phones.
Yeah, so they've heard this. So they come in and they're like, what the fuck's going on? So now the cops are fully aware of the situation. Danny Lee heads to the coconut oil factory, dives into a vat of oil, comes out as the oily maniac again. And then we cut to...
Is this the showdown?
Yeah, Yang's compound, his sort of like gangster compound. Also, with the oil slick, so when he moves around as an oil slick, did you find it incredibly funny? Every time he turns into that oil slick, he sort of... There's always a shot of him awkwardly getting down on his knees. Then he goes face down. And it's just...
He's so clunky.
Yeah, he's a very clunky, oily maniac.
For a man made of liquid, he's very, like... He doesn't have much movement.
So Yang's compound, everyone's on fucking high alert. Yang is shitting his fucking pants. And the... the oil slick version of the oily maniac comes in and then morphs back into the oily maniac, and we get a full-blown Shaw Brothers showdown at this point. All very big, choreographed sort of scene with all this fighting. The whole way through this, I couldn't help but notice how cute the oily maniac is, because at this point he's all shot in light and he's just like, hey, like walking around fighting these guys. He's like a big silly turd just running about. And he's just smashing up all the cronies, smashing them to bits. At one point he spits oil over everybody.
I gotta say, so at this point I was getting a little bit tired of the oily maniac. Because he has a very limited amount of moves. He will basically jump, bonk people, or go into oil spills and then reform into his physical form. And choke people, but he had a very limited amount of things that he could do. And it was always the same thing. Whenever he would come, he would choke someone, mash their head, dilute into oil, and reappear. But from here, we know that he had a few tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah.
And this is when he starts busting out the other moves. And I was like, I didn't know you could do that. And one of them is the oil spit.
Yeah.
So he just starts spitting oil into all of the cronies' faces. And I think that kills them. They're all just out. They're just dead. They're on the floor.
Piping hot oil blasted into their faces.
Oh, is it hot oil?
I guess so. It looked pretty steamy.
Yeah. But it's almost like the cat in House. You know that picture of the cat in House that spurts out blood. Yeah. It's that kind of trajectory.
Definitely, yeah. He's also he's got a lot of abilities. So we see it all in this scene. Yeah,
from here
we see it all in this moment. So they chop his arm off. It grows back. They chop his fucking head off, and we get a sort of stop motion animation of his head reforming. I loved how half finished that stop animation looked like. It looked like they were like, yeah, that's enough. Yeah. They did half of it and they're like, yeah, cut to another shot. It's fine. We've got enough. And yeah, he's doing all his moves, smashing everyone to bits. He finally gets to Yang and does his classic move, the good old choking to death.
Oh, yeah.
To be fair though, this choking was a bit better. It was a bit more gruesome.
He kind of face pounds him a bit.
Yeah, he's smashing him up and then just finishes it off with a choke. But then the cops show up with nice office lady. She's betrayed the oily maniac.
I was waiting for their like love story to commence. Yeah.
And all the cops are just blasting him, and they shoot him in this exposed heart that we've seen a lot of shots of. And I'm like, oh, here we go. That's going to have something to do with his downfall, but not really.
That whole exposed heart was just a complete waste of time.
He's basically just like, he gets shot there and he's like, oh wow, and that's it.
Oh wow.
But he's all right. He's fine.
He's essentially like immortal. You can't hurt him.
Well,
you cut off his head, leg,
shoot
him
until we get to the end, though.
Oh yeah,
which we're getting to now. So then he slippery slides off back to the coconut factory. Beetle Chen is there getting all his money out, getting some guns out. He hears a sound coming from the factory, and oil is just like pumping about everywhere. All the machines in this factory are going fucking nuts. A flame lights up in one of the machines. All the lights go dark. Chen is freaking out. He takes out his gun, starts shooting madly. And then Danny Lee shows up in human form.
Yeah, with his crutches.
Where do they go when he turns into the oily maniac? It's like with the Hulk, right? When the Hulk turns into the Hulk and his trousers, right?
Yeah. But he seems to be able to control when he can turn back into human form. So why did he do that now?
Unless he just ran out of the oil. Maybe that could be it.
He has an oil meter.
Yeah, I feel like that might be it. But yeah, he's bumbling along on his crutches, and Chen is shooting at him, and he walks in front of the big coconut oil vats. And Chen shoots some holes in the vats like a fucking idiot. And the oil blasts all over Danny Lee.
I don't know. We know what's going to happen, but he's a fucking idiot.
He's back to being the oily fucking maniac again. Attacks Chen, starts beating the fucking shit out of him, stomps him to pieces. The cops come in, and he's just smashing up cops as well. I fucking love that. He's got, like, the two main cops of the film. He's got them in a headlock, like, the two of them. So he's, like, beating up the cops. He's got two in the fucking headlock. And then nice office lady who's there, she sees all this happening, grabs kind of like a stick from the flame that's in one of these.
It's like a fire poke or
something.
something.
Like a fire poker kind of thing. Takes it out, stabs it into him.
So she's pleading with him not to kill the other people.
Don't kill the cops, don't kill him, and stabs him with this thing, sets him on fire.
Oh.
And then we get a very distressing shot of a clearly very real man in a suit rolling about in flames and burning to death.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. He's just
and he
dead.
kind of burns, he turns to ash, and then his ashes blow away.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I also love one of the cops, like, goes to see nice office lady. He's like, yeah, it's all right now. Don't worry about it. And sort of creepily takes her away.
Oh.
Creepy cop.
No.
Yeah. And that's it.
And that's it. That was the Oily Maniac.
That's the Oily Maniac
That was the Oily Maniac. What a mad film. I'm so glad I finally got to see it. Some part of me is saying it's exactly what I imagined it to be, but the other half of me is saying, like, it's very different to what I was expecting. But knowing that this is based off a film that came in the 50s, or at least off the same urban legend or whatever, makes me very curious to check out the ones that came prior to this.
Yeah. I would say that 50s version, definitely worth watching.
Oh, yeah. I'm you said it's on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm definitely watching that.
It's, in some ways, I enjoyed it more than this, but it's a very different film. Like, this is very, very Shaw Brothers, very 70s.
Sure.
And this version of it is much more simple.
Right.
It's just like, he's an oily maniac smashing up people, whereas the original is a very convoluted kind of story, and the oily maniac stuff only happens in the final. So
right.
It's very, very different. Extremely different.
I think the way, like you just said now, that this is very simple, sums it up. It's quite one-dimensional, especially when you take into consideration how many subplots and motifs and urban legends and spells and the rules that come along with everything and the love triangles. Even though there are so many subplots in here, it's just so simple.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, he's going to be an oily maniac and he's going to kill the people who are not very nice. And you just get that on kind of repeat, essentially. Which is what I was expecting. I saw the cover. It's like a man as like an oily turd thing. And he's going to go out and kill people. And that's exactly what I was expecting it to be. And that's exactly what it was. But for some reason, I don't know why, it's also not what I was expecting. I think a lot of the subplots, like the love triangles and that kind of thing, it's very, very fun when it is fun. But in those in-between times, it's a little bit just like, you're kind of waiting for the next oil drum to come rolling down the hill.
Yeah, yeah. I do have to admit, like, watching it again, because I hadn't seen it for quite a while before watching it again for this pod, for the first, like, 20 minutes, I'm like, this is much slower than I remember it being. For a film that's only 80 minutes, it does take its time with a lot of convoluted shit at the beginning. But as you said, when it's kicking in, it's fucking great. And it's very weird to see a Shaw Brothers movie like this.
Right,
well.
yeah.
It's
not their normal output.
Yeah, it's very fucking strange. I was really happy to do this episode just to learn all that extra stuff about it as well. And especially having JY, like, give me all that extra information as well was really interesting to unpack that.
Good old JY.
So it was very fun to do this one. But yeah, not my favorite of the Shaw Brothers, like, horror sub-genre.
Sure.
But still definitely one
It's definitely worth watching.
Oh, yeah.
It's there's a lot to be had with this film.
It's just, like, very up and down the whole way through.
Yeah.
But when it's up, oh, mate, it's fucking great.
It's
when he's
flying
smashing
high.
heads and, yeah.
Those head-smashing scenes.
That's quite unusual to see in a Shaw Brothers film, I think, as well. But yeah, definitely recommended for sure. How about the wrong-ometer for this? How wrong the film is, how fucked it is, how much it shouldn't exist. I'm gonna go probably pretty low for this one, even though it is very unusual for a Shaw Brothers film. It's not really that fucked up or anything.
No.
So I'm gonna go for a 5.
Okay.
How about you?
I'm gonna go 4.
Okay.
It was a great film, very enjoyable. and very appropriate to the title. It was
It is very oily.
It was very appropriate for the film that it was trying to be. So yeah,
You can't go too high,
in that sense. You can't go too high on the thermometer. Yeah, it was right for the film that it was going to be. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it though.
All right, what have we got next time?
Next time, oh my goodness, we are going to, and I believe for the first time on this podcast, correct me if I'm wrong, but to the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
Have we been there before?
I don't think so.
Okay. So next time we are going to the Philippines to watch The Family That Eats Soil.
Okay.
Directed by, I can't pronounce his name, but it's a one-name director.
Greg.
Directed by Greg. No, but directed by someone. I
We'll
will
find
learn
out.
how to say his name.
By next time.
Because that's the thing we need to do now, apparently. And we're off to the Philippines to watch people eat soil.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
So as always, follow us on Twitter at SMSW Podcast. Send us an email at showmesomethingwrong@gmail.com. And please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and a rating on Spotify if you want. as well.
That's the thing.
Didn't even know that was a thing until the other day. And yeah, we'll see you next time to munch down some soil.
Hey!